Next year, voters in 36 states will be electing their next governors. It's an already important office that's played an outsized role during the pandemic. A lot could change between now and November 2022, but the races are already taking shape. As Politico reports, if the last year and a half has shown anything, these governors' races shouldn't be playing second fiddle to Congress, either for voters' attention or donors' dollars. Zach Montellaro joins me now. He covers state politics for Politico. Hi there, Zach. Welcome. So talk to us about the balance between the role of national and local politics in these races. What role do voters see governors playing, and how has that changed?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So, governor's races can't be entirely detached from Washington. Nothing truly can. But these are fought on different battlegrounds, for lack of a better term, than a Senate race or a House race, because that governor has so much local control. Of course, what happens in D.C. obviously matters, but governors have immense control, as we saw throughout the pandemic, over how their individual state is run. So there's a lot more of that local referendum on things than a Senate race would ever see. And you kind of see that in the battleground too. Sure, a lot of the top states next year are going to be those states that kind of match pretty well with the Senate map or the presidential map. The Wisconsins, the Georgia, the Arizonas of the world, they're swing states for the presidential race. They're swing states for Senate races. They'll be swing states for the governor races next year as well. But the difference is those other second grouping of states where you see competitive gubernatorial races that are totally off the map in a presidential year. Think about a state like Kansas, where Democratic Governor Laura Kelly is up for re-election, despite the fact it's a deep, deep red state. And then you go to the other side. There's Republican governors in states like Massachusetts and Maryland, states we don't even talk about anymore for presidential races, still have pretty competitive gubernatorial races this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that both parties actually have opportunities to pick up seats next year. So which states are the most competitive?
Yeah, I think if you remove those kind of oddball states, the states that have a governor that doesn't quite match their national profile, the most competitive states are going to be a state like Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona. These are all states that were incredibly close in 2018, the last time all these governors were up. In Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers won by a few thousand votes, which is not a big margin of victory at all. In Georgia, Democrat Stacey Abrams just narrowly lost to now Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican. And in Arizona, we have an open seat. Those are really the three kind of big states right now I'm looking at. There's that second tier of states, a Pennsylvania, which is also going to be close, but we're waiting to see the field develop. A Michigan, same thing. We don't quite know who's running there. But they track pretty well. And then you go to the states that don't match their national profile. Kansas, which is what Republicans think their best pickup opportunity is. Maryland, which is what Democrats think their best pickup opportunity is. States that have a governor that's out of sync with how they voted in the presidential election.
So given the stakes, let's talk strategy, Zach. Where are these parties directing their money?
Yeah, so this year we expect to see a lot tighter of a map than we saw in 2018. In 2018, it was a dramatic wave year for Democrats. They won a lot of important states for governor's races in 2018, but they also forced Republicans to spend kind of across the map in states that they otherwise wouldn't, like a South Carolina. This year, Governor Henry McMaster in South Carolina, for example, he's up for re-election. Unlike in 2018, Republicans don't expect to spend there this year. So we can look kind of at that core map. And what's interesting in that most of the battleground states, a couple exceptions, but most of the battleground states, we have an incumbent already. We already know half of the race. In Michigan, it's Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She's already up for re-election and she's set. In Wisconsin, it's Democratic Governor Tony Evers. In Georgia, it's probably Republican Governor Brian Kemp, presuming he survives a primary challenge. So we have that ticket set, which kind of shrinks the battlefield quite significantly.
All right, well, let's talk about a little bit nearer term here. Voters in Virginia will choose a new governor next month in what some consider a bellwether of the midterms. Now, CBS News polling shows a tightening race. Just 3 points separate the Democratic candidate and former Governor Terry McAuliffe from Republican Glenn Youngkin. Zach, what messages are both sides leaning into?
Yeah, so right now, Governor McAuliffe has had a really message that kind of focused on tying Glenn Youngkin to Trump. Youngkin has been endorsed by former President Donald Trump, but he has not campaigned with him, and there's a reason for that, is that Trump is not popular in Virginia. Nevertheless, Governor McAuliffe has been trying to tie Youngkin to him through TV ads, through stump speeches, through just about every opportunity he can get. He wants to remind voters that Glenn Youngkin was endorsed by Trump. He calls him Glenn Trunkin sometimes. And that's what Governor McAuliffe has been trying to do. Glenn Youngkin, on the other hand, has been really in these closing days been focused on an education message. He's just been hammering former Governor McAuliffe just over and over and over again about comments he made in a debate on parents' involvement in schools. And that's what Youngkin is kind of focused on in the closing days. It's different from his primary message. During the primary, he talked a lot about election integrity is what he called it. He's moved away from that. And over the next 20 so days, I think that's basically where these two men are going to land, that, every opportunity he can get, Governor McAuliffe will remind people that Trump endorsed Glenn Youngkin, and every opportunity Youngkin can get, he'll talk about education more or less.
It's going to be really fascinating to see which messages resonate and motivate voters to come out to the polls. All right, Zach Montellaro. Zach, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.